Do you love your family? Really think about that for a second. Pause and take a walk with me through this thought. They say family is forever, a group that should protect, guide, and love you without condition. That's the story, right? Blood ties bind us forever. Just imagine how many people had to come together across time just to create you. Only you. You're already drowning in that blood, sweetheart. So am I. My family wasn't just messed up. They were a different breed of twisted. My dad, James, sold used cars by day and smoked crack cocaine by night. He had no issue sleeping with his coworker while grinning in the faces of neighbors who whispered about his sexuality behind closed doors. He really thought he was fooling everyone. What a clown. My mom, Lisa, wasn't any better. Actually, she was worse. Out in public, she played the sweet second-grade teacher, going to church every Sunday, hosting her little book club. Lying piece of trash. At home, she was a monster. The kind of woman who'd wait until her husband was asleep before getting cozy with her own brother. She'd beat me with her prized brown leather Bible whenever I took too long washing the dishes. If she was feeling extra holy, she'd lock me in the basement for hours on end. One time, she left me down there from sunrise until well past midnight. When she finally let me out, she just smiled and said, "Oh, I completely forgot you were down there." I cried for food, but she said it was too late to cook, and that it wasn't worth wasting a meal on me. A waste. My older brother, Brandon, got the royal treatment in comparison. James and Lisa never hit him, never starved him. He stayed holed up in his room on that damn computer, shirtless, whispering sweet nothings to strangers over his webcam. He made enough money from those sessions to buy weed, white rum, and a rusted car from a sketchy guy in Chicago. No license, of course. Didn't matter to him. He used to practice driving by tossing me, curled up and terrified, into the trunk. For hours, we'd speed around the neighborhood, him cackling every time he hit a speed bump just to hear me scream. That's how my arm broke. And all of this happened before I even turned 7. Just so you can get a clearer picture of the nightmare. Still with me? It was a chilly Tuesday afternoon. Our backyard was blanketed in leaves. Yellow, orange, and red. I had just turned 15. Autumn was at its peak. I was sitting alone on the back steps. Not just physically alone. There was no one home. For a moment, everything felt calm. That rare, quiet calm you wish could last forever. But good things? They never stick around. I heard the sharp clack of Lisa's heels as she strolled up the walkway. Her loud laugh told me she was on the phone. And there was only ever one person she truly enjoyed talking to on the phone. Her brother, my uncle Darren. Her keys jingled in the lock, and I slipped quietly back into the house, heading straight for my room. Our walls were bare. No family photos, no decorations. The whole place reeked of stale air and secrets. No one in this house wanted to remember anything. We were too busy trying to forget. But what were they trying to forget? They weren't the ones suffering. That was always me. I was their punching bag, their emotional sponge. But no one ever cared. No one ever pitied me. Just pain. Brandon's room always smelled like weed and melted rubber. I tiptoed past his door. His attention was dangerous, and I'd learned to avoid it at all costs. How do you explain having to invent ways to sneak around your own home just to stay safe? Just to survive? You don't. At least that's what you're taught. Lisa would scold me for tattling. What happens in the family stays in the family, she'd snap. Snitches get stitches, Brandon used to say. I hated him. The second I'd hear them come home, I'd run to my room. Every night was a calculated mission. Listen at the door, plan a quick bathroom dash, avoid the squeaky floorboard, shower before dawn to stay invisible. Peace didn't exist when they were home. Let's skip ahead. That night changed everything. It shifted something deep in me. Human beings are built to survive. But even survival has a limit. Lisa decided to throw a party that Tuesday. It started mid-afternoon and bled deep into the night. James, Lisa, and Brandon lounged in the living room with the neighbors, laughing like they were a picture-perfect family. But I knew better. James wore long sleeves to cover track marks. He looked skeletal, eyes sunken, forehead veins pulsing, desperate for another hit. One more line to make it through the night, then I'll stop. Lisa's body had swollen. She once tried to look like a model, contorting in front of mirrors to lie to herself. Now none of her clothes fit. She had to buy a whole new wardrobe. Darren, our lovely uncle, sat next to her, but he only had eyes for our married neighbor. Flirting, hand on her knee, she giggled back like a schoolgirl. She was married to a Marine. And Brandon, sitting around with his loser friends, drinking, talking like they had stories to tell. No jobs, no goals, no future. Just high school memories and silence. I stayed in my room, avoided every last one of them. Sickos, liars, cheaters, abusers. When the party finally ended, it was midnight. I could tell it was going to be a bad night just by the way Lisa stomped up the stairs. From my window, I saw Darren sneak off with our neighbor, hand on her ass as she laughed like an idiot. Lisa was no longer his favorite. She screamed my name, demanding I clean up after her mess. Her footsteps pounded down the hallway. Felt like a horror movie. Closer, louder. I stood by the window, arms resting on the sill, breathing in the night air. I remember the breeze, cool and still. Lisa burst into my room, her wineglass clutched in her shaking hand. Her long hair clung to her face, eyes unfocused. She slurred my name, then screamed again when I didn't answer. Brandon barked at her to shut the hell up. As I looked at her, something cracked inside me. It wasn't rage. Not quite. It was cold and hollow, like the wick of a candle refusing to go out. She mocked me, waved her glass, and taunted like always. But something was different this time. I'd had enough. I lunged and shoved her to the floor. She tried to get up, but she was too bloated, too drunk. I calmly shut and locked my door. The wineglass shattered. Riesling soaked the dirty brown carpet. The stink of alcohol mingled with the permanent rot of the house. A tall shard of glass glinted at my feet. I picked it up. The candle inside me burned brighter. A quick slice to her throat silenced her. My own fingers bled as I gripped the glass tighter, carving her open like a butcher. Watching her bleed out felt like peace. Then came Brandon. I heard his door creak open. Each step he took toward mine brought back another trauma. Every bruise, every bone he broke, every hour locked in the trunk. He pounded on my door. He didn't have enough footsteps to match the horror he caused me. I opened it. He got the same treatment, a slit to the throat. But that wasn't enough. I stomped on his arms, his legs. Every place I knew would hurt most. A small taste of what he gave me. The wind outside had stopped completely. I scraped the glass against the wall, cutting into the stained wallpaper. Then I noticed something. James never came upstairs, never yelled, never asked about the noise. I searched for him. The guest bathroom door was cracked open. The light flickered. I saw those filthy brown loafers sticking out. Inside, he was slumped against the sink. A burnt spoon, a lighter, a used syringe. Ty crumpled beside him. Dead, of course. I left him there. That pathetic, weak moment was his alone. I walked out the back door, wiped my fingerprints off the glass shard and tossed it into the neighbor's rose bushes. Strolled down the sidewalk. The neighbor's living room curtains were wide open. Darren was inside her, right there on her husband's chair. If only she knew what else he'd touched. I kept walking. Now, I know what you're thinking. What happened next? Did they catch me? Do I feel guilty? Sweetheart, it made national headlines. Man slaughters sister and her family after neighborhood party. The murder weapon was found in the rose bushes across the street. Turns out the brother wasn't innocent. Their texts leaked. Incest. Scandal. The neighbor wasn't spared either. Police thought he snapped in a jealous rage and tried to go after her. 2. People believe anything. It's scary how easy it is to vanish. Fake ID. Fake passport. Cut your hair. Start over. Now for your last question. Do I feel guilty? Not even a little. From the moment I shoved Lisa to the floor to when I stepped into the night, I felt nothing but relief. Imagine living in a cage your whole life. Then the lock finally breaks. Freedom. So no, I don't feel guilty. Not for the neighbor. Not for the sick, broken people in that house. And if you had the chance to destroy your demons, don't lie to me. You'd do the same. You're already drowning in blood. What's a little more?